Good morning. I hope everybody had a good day. And just want to go ahead and discuss a major issue as we view it in terms of our office. In the interest of transparency and accountability in law enforcement, I am today announcing the indictments of Baltimore City police officers Alexis Acosta and Cejus in separate cases. These matters will be prosecuted by my public trust and police integrity unit, and here I have two of the individuals with that. As there are open and pending investigations and actually litigation, I can not diverge from the information provided in the indictments, which also will be given to all of you following this press conference. I must emphasize that an indictment is not a finding of guilt. An individual charged by indictment is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty at trial. The grand jury indicted Officer Alexis Acosta for manslaughter, reckless driving, negligent driving, failure to control speed to avoid a collision, death of a vulnerable individual caused by a motor vehicle, and driving an emergency vehicle without regard for safety of persons. The next indictment involves the indictment alleges Officer Acosta caused the death of Mr. Terry Harrell on June 21st, 2022 at 2500 block of East Biddle Street by driving, operating, controlling a vehicle and vessel in a criminally negligent manner. He faced a maximum penalty of 3 years in prison and a $2,500 fine if found guilty of all charges. The grand jury also indicted Officer Cejus for the following: theft between $100 and $1,500 and misconduct in office. Watson faces up to 6 months in prison and $500 in fines if found guilty of the theft charge. Misconduct is a common law offense with no set maximum penalty so long as the sentence is not considered cruel and unusual punishment by the court. Watson was charged in December 2022 of distribution of marijuana following a grand jury indictment in Baltimore County. The facts as alleged in this speaking indictment are as follows. September 29, 2022, Officer Watson was assigned to work at 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Baltimore Police Headquarters at 601 East Fayette Street, Baltimore, Maryland. Watson punched into the city timekeeping system called Workday. He did this at approximately, we believe, around 6:56 a.m. and was present at his assigned post at approximately the same time. It's alleged that Watson then left his post and went home to Owens Mills in Baltimore County, arriving, we believe, around alleged 12:43 p.m. He then left and went to a tattoo parlor on Reisterstown Road in Baltimore County, we believe, arriving around 1:03 p.m. It's alleged that approximately 1:18 p.m. he entered the tattoo shop carrying controlled dangerous substance, also known as CDS or drugs, sold them, and left the shop at around 1:34 p.m. After the sale of the CDS was complete, it's alleged that Officer Watson returned to his home in Owens Mills, arriving around 2:16 p.m. prior to the end of his shift at 3:30 p.m. At 3:31, it's alleged that Officer Watson logged out of the Workday timekeeping system. It's alleged that Officer Watson has been absent from his post for 2 hours and 19 minutes. Officer Watson was under surveillance by both the Baltimore City and Baltimore County Police Departments, police officers. Officer Watson is alleged did not notify any supervisor of his departure from his post, nor was he authorized or pre-approved to leave his post or work from home. At no time did Officer Watson attempt to correct the false information of Workday timekeeping system and was subsequently paid for the hours not worked. The time not worked and lost to the employer here at the City of Baltimore, taxpayers, was valued at more than $1,000 but less than $1,500. Valued at more than $100, but less than $1,500. The case we bring to court is strong because of reliable and trustworthy police officers we partnered with to secure this information and secure these indictments. The allegations against these two officers damages the relationships by calling into question the integrity and ability to protect and serve the citizens of Baltimore City. Especially concerning is, both cases, but especially concerning is the allegations against Cejus Watson. The state's attorney have a duty to hold them accountable like any other individual who breaks the law. When I hear that there's evidence that an officer is allegedly selling drugs on the job, I can't help but to think of the notorious gun trace task force. The shame that was brought on our police department and our city as a whole. I know there are a lot of officers who've been working very hard to make sure we overcome that terrible stain on our city's history. And they're risking their lives every day. So to have these allegations against Officer Watson is absolutely mind-boggling to me. You know, as a defense attorney, I didn't stand for this behavior. And I certainly will not stand for this behavior as the Baltimore City State's attorney. This behavior will be held accountable, and we will not allow that to happen in our city. I want to thank the Baltimore City Police Department, Baltimore County Police Department, Maryland State Police, and the Attorney General's Office for collaborating with us on these cases. Keeping in mind that I cannot get into the case's specifics, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Mr. State's Attorney, what's the status of the officers now? Are they in jail? They're going to turn themselves in?
Well, Officer Watson, I know he was charged in Baltimore County. These matters have gone out, I'm sure, at this moment in time. We indicted them yesterday, and they'll have to go through the regular process with it, with going before the court commissioner, going before the judge.
You talked about the importance of having, obviously, under surveillance from Baltimore County and Baltimore City. Can you talk about the importance of having the police department's collaboration and their public integrity units?
Yeah, without a doubt. One of the things we often heard was that the police departments, they weren't policing their own. They weren't looking into what was going on. Here you have a joint investigation. I can't go that much into it, but to have both organizations, Baltimore County and Baltimore City, working together, what it says is that we're working together to not only hold the criminal elements accountable, but if there's an officer within their own ranks that's doing something, that they're going to collaborate and work to hold that officer together. Now that officer is facing charges in Baltimore County and Baltimore City, and that is something that we have not really seen in the past.
State's Attorney, 2 officers were indicted back in March, 2 others in April. Now there's 2 more, so it's 6 for this year. Are you seeing a widespread pattern develop as far as police misconduct in the city? Anything different in your eyes?
I wouldn't say I see a pattern. What I see is our office holding officers accountable, and that we're doing that with individuals who are breaking the law. You know, our police integrity division here is led by Mr. Steve Troxel and Mr. Ernie Wrights, 2 of the most experienced attorneys that we have in that division. And they've taken the opportunity to go through, there was a backlog of cases when I got here. And my chief of staff, Angela Galliano, who they answered to, we had a mission to go through the backlog and find the ones that we need to prosecute. And that's what we're doing. And I can't say that I'm seeing more one way or another in terms of action. But what I can tell you I have seen is the consent decree, I do believe, is working. I do believe, having been a defense attorney and seen some of the police actions before, what I'm seeing now is that we're starting to catch up with the officers that need to be held accountable.
Could you talk about how the investigation into Mr. Watson got started?
I really can't talk about that. That's still part of the ongoing case. And not only here, but also Baltimore County. We have to make sure that, above all, individuals have a constitutional right to have a fair and unbiased trial, and that, that's just a little too much information at this time. But we can get into it later.
Okay.
Obviously, you know a lot of ins and outs of the gun trace task force. What kind of similarities or differences? I know these are individual cases. Are there any similarities between this and that large scandal, or any differences in your eyes?
What bothered me immensely is that the gun trace task force, first of all, that was just an entire corrupt group of officers. Here you have the allegations of one officer. And that was the first part that I noticed. The other thing that I noticed was that the allegations of the gun trace task force, they were selling drugs while on duty. Here you have officers allegedly selling drugs while on duty. And then you also have the other issue of, while working, you're charging the citizens, hard taxpayers, whether you're driving a bus, whether you're working for city government, whether you're working at doing whatever, DPW, we pay taxes and we live in this city. And you're now taking the money that we work for, and now you're going to take it, what we believe is, let's just say this. If you're going to take the money and you're working and you're going to do this behavior, whether it's the gun trace task force or whomever, we're going to hold you accountable. And that was what I see very similar. Because the allegations in the gun trace task force. So officers were still billing, whether overtime or regular work time. They were doing alleged criminal activities in the gun trace task force. And that's one of the things that really bothered me immensely. It was one of the reasons also we said we definitely wanted to hold this officer accountable.
If convicted, what's the penalty?
Well, the first one is 6 months because of the theft. But we also have the misconduct in office, which is common law. And so for us, they're going to be held accountable, we feel, in Baltimore County. It was really very important for the citizens that we also hold this officer accountable in the city. We weren't as focused on the jail time. We're focused on being held accountable to the citizens of Baltimore City.
Would you elaborate on that? I mean, if he's found guilty, what is he?
Oh, 6 months.
That's
Six months on the theft. However, the misconduct is common law, so he can receive any sentence that is not viewed as cruel or unusual punishment. So we will lay out what we feel is the appropriate sentence at that moment in time.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.